Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is going to be a reading video. I will talk a little bit in the beginning. Um, I have my bandana that I sewed the other day. I was actually going to do something different with it, but I ended up putting it in my hair as a headband, and I think it's great. Um, I've been wearing a lot of hats lately, which I also love. Um, I like when my hair gets a little flat from the hats. I know people don't usually like that, but my hair is naturally curly and I do like having curly hair and um I like having a lot of hair. So I feel like wearing a hat helps when I'm trying to style it differently. Um, I, cause sometimes like when I style my curly hair, um, even when I'm doing something different, making it a little wavier or straighter, um, it still kind of has, the the voluminous thing that it does, like with when your hair is still curly. So I really like hats for that reason. And I feel like, well, having some volume was also helpful when I had my emo hair growing up. Um, because I had like the bob and then it was long hair. I've had long hair, so my hair is down to my hips. Right now it's in, I think, a good state for how I have my hair because I used to dread the bottom of it, like the bottom half. Not completely half, but now it's braided because at least the method that I was using to keep the dreads at the bottom, you would use like a hook to keep the hair in the dreadlock. So at least with the braid, I feel like it's a quicker way to manage it, and then I feel that I'm not messing with it too much. But I do like it, and I was going to say something else. I have my other hat that I've been knitting. I don't know if I'll keep it. I say that and then I end up keeping some of the stuff that I say I'll gift. So I'll see how it is when I'm finished. But um I will start pulling out the cards. I did make another playlist. It'll take a while for me to build this specific playlist, and I'm still adding songs to my mainly alternative and punk music playlist. I like having it. It kind of reminds me of having an iPod because you had like, well, I mean, you have the music on your phones now, but it's like you have different amounts of space, and depending on how much space, you could have like a couple hundred songs or a couple thousand songs. And there's this like iPod video at some point. My brother has his still where you have like the screen is meant for you to like watch videos and I feel like there's more storage for that too. But this one is an international playlist. I was thinking about if I should go in a specific direction with it, like with um, genres, because I didn't know if I was going to go just this way and that way with the music, but I think I'm going to put a couple of different genres that I feel can, well, I think I could play them, but you don't have to, of course, play them all at once. But I have, um, like, I have Celtic music on there, and then I have, like, Ukrainian rave music, so it's going in, um, different areas, but I feel like I'll go through a bunch of songs and see what to add. I have talked to my best friend about this actually. Oh, somebody at the bookstore asked me if I spoke Ukrainian today. And I'm like, in my head, I was like, I feel like I can confidently say two words, but it's with an American accent. So of course, I said no. And then she's like, well, you have really nice stuff. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know if you heard, like, the spit in my mouth. Sorry. But I also had more of a vivid dream the other night, and I don't know if it had to do with the full moon. I didn't know it was the wolf moon. I actually filmed it and then I saw my computer tell me it was the wolf moon. We actually, well, the sun card is in the past position, but it's still here. And the sun is always going to be there even if you can't see it. Whether or not you connect to the moon cycles in a spiritual way, it does tend to relate to community and connecting and especially the people or the a tribe, if you will, how your environment is with that. And also in general, like intuitive hits with it. You get water energy and then it tends to be more intense around this time. So if you're thinking about it, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but a feeling about somebody that you keep close to you or somebody that you don't necessarily keep close to you. It could be somebody else's group. Um, or maybe it could be a group that you used to be associated with and somehow their energy somehow is coming up. Then maybe take some time to think about that. So my dream was that um I there's a couple of things, but one of the main things was like there was a bunch of crabs in my dream. And some were being cooked, and then there's this one giant crab that was significantly larger than the other ones. And it was trying to get at me, and I was trying to like hit it and like honestly kill it because I didn't want it to get near me. And so eventually my mom picked it up and she put it with the other crabs to get cooked, I guess. Not really that much of the significance for like eating in general. Like it's not like I don't eat seafood, but I'm kind of, I don't know, some seafood takes a long time to eat. And sometimes I'm like not wanting to put all of that to eat the crab. But I don't have anything against the seafood. But this could be the feeling of being needing to defend yourself, and it was to that capacity, and it could also be because of the moon cycles too. And again, if you're not okay or like linking to the moon cycles, you don't need to. But there just seemed like there was a lot of opposition that came from that. And it might be, again, with the other reading about territory, because somebody just feels like they they don't want to keep starting shit with you. They're like, no, this it doesn't need to keep going like this because I feel like maybe your energy or another person's energy isn't really backing down. And for those of you who don't know, I'm going to temporarily go to Las Vegas for a little bit. I'm actually keeping my storage unit on the East Coast because I'm not going to move there. Um, I'm actually driving there. I'm most likely driving there because I was talking about well, it's not really a phase because like my emo-ness never like left. So there's that. But I feel like because it's coming back into like, um, different styles kind of things or remnants of it at least. And so I'm like emo-ness and going back to my parents to house it and such. And then um I might, well, they were saying for me to learn some things, so I will see. But for the drive it's going to take around like 4 days. I feel like I could cut that. And I'm like no bullshit type of driver. So I have driven long distances before, not the direction where I'm going. I might, oh my God, I might do like a trip to my storage unit another day so I don't have to like kind of go all over the place with it. But I'll have to see for that. And um one of the main things was like that type of stability or for that type of freedom in a way. Because when I was younger and there was a lot of stuff that came up growing up, and I couldn't really leave the house because I didn't really have a way to leave the house. Now I have my car, and I'm like, I'm planning on selling the car, and the car is continuously depreciating. Um, and I'm going to keep it, continue to take care of it, but I'm also like, well, I'll just have to make up the difference and more on top of that for the money that I was going to sell it for. So, um, at least there's some productivity going, even when you don't want to do something. I feel like there can be something that you can do or like a benefit that you can get out of it. For some reason, the shield is standing out to me in this. I feel like being heard might be to your benefit. This, although this is Wands energy, some decks switch the swords and the wands elements, so I could do that too, and I could represent it as both. And you also have the sword sign in the past position, but in the future you have the King of Wands. It kind of reminds me of like a circling back into the conversation and the past position, then the Knight of Swords. So it does have a little bit of a transmutation where it transforms into something else, like swords going into wands, but still having the swords, that kind of the essence there. So sorry, going back to what I was saying about having a conversation with my best friend about specifically like the Ukrainian language. Um, because I was playing something and she was like, not in a bad way, in a good way, that hopefully it gets taken in a good way because I don't mean it in a bad way. But she's like, it, well, both of us, it sounds softer than what she was expecting in terms of like the dialect because she was thinking it would be like rougher. And I feel like it's to the language's advantage. I mean, depending on how you're looking at it, some people might not give a shit at all, but from like maybe an outsider's, like American standpoint, when you're listening to international music and that I feel that it's definitely palpable and that there is an ease to listen to the music because sometimes, and this is why I made another playlist, because sometimes people don't want to hear international music because they're like, I don't understand it. But honestly, you could just like feel the music. Like honestly, um, a rave song about like spring and crops, like that's the fucking shit. Like I love it, and um, I think it's great. So I think like it could definitely go hard because of what I've been listening to. Like you can put an emphasis on different parts of the song because, you know, with music, and then it's louder or it gets faster, whatever the music is doing. And then you just feel it. And I feel like that could be a thing to do at this time, just to, you don't necessarily have to listen to everything. You could just feel the energy of it. And it kind of reminds me of like the cycles of energy, of how it rises and how it falls. And that's a natural thing that it does. You don't have the Wheel of Fortune here, but there might be that acceptance that comes in. The present you have with the Temperance card, I think this is good at this time because there's a sense of peace, especially if you were trying to fight something for so long. This could be linked to the opposing energy because it is a card that's linked to Sagittarius. I'm not saying that you have like beef with the Sagittarius, you could. But that tends to be like a warrior type of zodiac sign with its bow and arrow. And like the only way to calm it is if you sing to it in a thick Ukrainian accent, like a lullaby specifically, and then that's the only way that you can stabilize the situation. Um, it's a joke, but with temperance, it just seems like once you let go of certain things that were maybe making you angrier, were making the journey more difficult, it doesn't need to be physical. it can be mental stress too, like when you have suicidal depression. Um, Sometimes, and some people don't even realize it, but there's so much mental anguish that goes up here. There's a lot of pain specifically in your mind that they just, the suicidal depression, you just want to end the pain. That's a part of it. And even with addiction, too. Like if you're out of the woods type of situation, you say you're out of the woods, and I don't mean that like in an offensive way. Um, because people are just like, oh, you said you were out of the woods, you said you were done with this shit, and then it turns out you're going back to it. And it is again one of those rises and fall energy. It's not like the most linear process, especially when you rely on something that's not yourself and you have those certain crutches. The temperance card, it does feel like it's a big step forward. And it kind of feels so angelic in a way where it's like, it's good that you did this. It's good that you decided this because if you kept going this way, like you could have really gone downhill. Even when people aren't completely healed or completely out of the woods or separated from the addiction habits that they have, that first step of actually wanting to do it for yourself, you have to do it for yourself. Of course, they say that um, because like people are gonna say shit to you all the time, and honestly, you're not gonna want to listen to a lot of this stuff. You can be receptive and you can respect the things that they say, but unless you make that decision and you put like the steps to do it, it's hard for any movement to come forward. You have the Page of Swords. Um, a little bit of a contradicting type of energy with the Temperance card because it does seem like it's a berating energy, and that could be coming from the environment too. As if you have like walls or like something that like barriers, or even in my dream where I felt like there was a need to protect or like um seek solace in myself because what I was being met up with was like too toxic for me. Like I was saying stuff and it was kind of irritating because I was like, I wasn't trying, like, I don't really talk to my mom specifically, and I'm like saying these things, and honestly, her response was like denial, denial, denial. Like this never happened. I'm like, okay, obviously I know there wasn't a point of saying anything, but I'm just gonna take this differently now. So I'm like, okay. And this could also be a way of, now I have something to protect, and it can be yourself and it can be other people. That can be, sorry, it can be like a motivation to like somebody else could be a motivation to seek help or to like be better in your life. There's such a thing where like you go to sleep and you think of the happiest thoughts. And one of them is like, it's not it's not the only one, but one of the main ones is like when my godmother says that she loves me, and I'm like, and then I go to bed and I'm like, somebody loves me. And I'm like, that's like one of the things that kind of keep the mind alive and it keeps it going. There's just something that really gives it strength. And I feel like that could be what the Page of Swords is holding. It's like, it doesn't have to be a weapon, but it's something that just helps drive the soul forward and not to like deteriorate. Your soul might not deteriorate, oh my god, deteriorate, but maybe like the humanness can, because um I don't like like I hear a lot of people's stories, and I don't like when it's trying to say you didn't go through as much as like this person did, or the way that I did, or the way like whatever situation it is. I'm just like, it's not up to you to decide somebody else's path. Like their path is their path, and how they experience it is on an individual level. So I do see like having that acceptance. And again, another type of strength is when you're able to live your life and have that authenticity and to be yourself. And it feels amazing when somebody is around you and can praise you because of the person that you are, and they can see the potential of you thriving as yourself and not trying to force you to be something else that you're not. And I think that's like one of the takeaways with my godmother too, because she sees my dreams and she sees like my personality, and she encourages me to like grow and to continue to be happy. If I'm happy as myself, then I should continue to do that. So there is that like boldness that comes from the King of Wands. Also linking to Leo energy or fire energy of swords, air, you have the cups. I've been saying elements a lot lately. You don't have to read it specifically with the elements. Wands are fire signs, cups are water signs. The cups are in the overall energy position. It's the Knight of Cups. And this really feels like it's that person that lets his or her dreams have a place in their life. Like sometimes you have your dreams or the things that you like, and even the things that you dislike in life, and you set it aside because you're like, that's not going to help me pay my mortgage. That's not going to help me get along with, like, if you had extended family or if you have, like, your main family. I had to set these things aside because I don't feel like there's a way to have it there. But it kind of seems like it's the energy is like calling you, like especially with this King of Wands energy, and I feel like I can associate with the Wolf Moon too, of stepping into a leadership mode because you have that lion or lioness energy or that wolf pack mentality. And I have one of the songs like Throne. It's definitely a banger in my alternative and mainly alternative and punk music playlist from Bring Me the Horizon. And a lot of the songs like are associated with different types of like mental health things too, and it's definitely relatable because sometimes again when you're going through different types of things, like say suicidal depression, and they're just saying like, look, this is what's in my head. And sometimes it's hard to like bring those things up because people are just like, sometimes they judge you because they're again saying you don't need to feel like that because you're a rich kid, dude. You're like, you have everything. And you're just like, you don't want to like say anything to people because, and then not like it matters, but, or they try to like take matters into their own hands. And again, it has to do with the type of choices that you make. Um, Sometimes it can be like, I just don't feel all quite there. You don't feel like you sometimes have to continue to say, like in like especially in growing up and maybe I would go to school or it would just be like a day and I'm just like the mantra is like today's a good day, today's a good day because it otherwise um like one of the songs like oh my god, I listen to it constantly. Lost, like I think I'm gonna break down. I think I'm gonna break down. And that's how it feels and you're like even some of the novels that talk about it, like with the common one is, well, not common, but a book that is for geared towards, it's a young adult book. It's Prozac Nation. And it does talk about like one day you're suddenly depressed. And then sometimes it's, you're not pinpointing on where it started. It kind of just, one day it became to this capacity, to this monster that you have in the closet, or like that pile of shit that you had that you just laid there and just left there. And you're like, damn, this thing is like bigger than me now. And you're like, damn, how I just let it get this way. And that's another thing with Out of the Woods too, when you're like relapsing, because you're like, um, sometimes it's thinking everyone wants me, well, maybe the people in your life, which is great, they want you to get better, and you don't want to come up knowing that you've relapsed again. And relapsing doesn't need to specifically be just with specific things. Like you can kind of broaden it. I mean, this is a medical channel too, but just to put it out there. So the obstacle is the Hierophant card. And it's almost like a sheep that lost its way. And something, it's almost like godlike because you have the temperance there too. Because lately I've been seeing specific guides with me, and maybe they might be trying to level my mood out or whatever. And with the Hierophant card, it's almost like the shepherd trying to help the lost sheep. And the sheep own, it kind of feels like the sheep is alone. And the sheep, like sheep don't really, I mean, you can have a sheep on its own, but usually it's like a flock type of animal. But the company of this Hierophant, it feels nice in a way. And again, godlike. So it's like a child being led home, but not in a bad way. Like if you don't like your home environment, I mean, I'm not like maybe you love your home environment. It it depends. But this feels like leading you home like in a spiritual way or like in a religious way. How to overcome the obstacle is the death card. And I feel like that really goes with the temperance card on putting some things in its place. Like if it doesn't belong, it doesn't belong. If you don't need it and it causes you pain, it might not be the smoothest process to just like let go of something. Um, I feel like it can be linked to things that cause pain. So maybe memories, and you don't need to forget the memories, but maybe it gets transmuted into something else because you're the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords seems like I really associate it with shark energy. Um, it just feels that it's such a head on energy to where people might think that it's more aggressive than what it needs to be, or a person's like more aggressive than what it needs to be. This could be the other side too. But I do feel like there's a sense of protection because in the past, like, although you have this berating energy, and I feel like you have that with the Page of Swords too, it's matched with the Sun card. And again, sorry, I've said this, like, the traditional Rider Waite Smith imagery, you get a baby riding a horse, like happy, and there's the sun in the background. So it does like feel like a child being led somewhere, or a child like it's dropping those things, it's dropping like those knives that they hold the wrong way and it just like keeps hurting them. Or they hold it when it should be let go because it's just causing a lot of damage. Um, I feel like with the sun, there's a lot of dominance in that there's a lot to live for. Like there's that sense of youthfulness, like that you get from the baby energy too, but also just feeling the ray of life just continue to shine. Like you're still alive type of thing. So with the death card, I do feel like it's kind of like waving your own flags up in the air. I don't feel like it's waving the red flags up in the air, but some people, like with the swords energy, they keep trying to make you think that, like, it's pitiful that you're like this. Like, you should be this way, or life should be like this for you. And then at this point, you're like kind of flaunting it completely. Like, you don't like this about me? Okay, I'm gonna go like mega hard into it and just like lean the fuck into it so that you could clearly see that this is who I proudly represent. I represent myself. Um, there's definitely a boldness that comes in, and then you have like the doves, and they look like doves, and the King of Wands, and it can link to home too because um I feel like there's something that just comes out of it that makes it so that the pain is transferred differently. Like the pain doesn't feel as unbearable as it used to be. Like I feel like your hands are cleaner or the wounds are tended to. Like there's something that tries to tend the wounds. And the doves are like gentle energy, and it's also related to the pigeons, and that's why I was saying like home energy. There's, even if it's just focusing on yourself and still being surrounded by swords, you don't have to pick up those swords anymore. Um, hopefully, like not too much at least, or at least not being like a person that is becoming what the other person is trying to make you become, or like not stooping down to their level type of thing. So I'll get this card, and then you have the Nine of Pentacles. With this one, it feels like you've done this before, but now it's to a point where maybe it's not like a baby, you're not as young as you were, or you're more experienced if age isn't applicable. And now you're able to do a lot more things on your own and not have to deal with people. And it might be yourself too, but I'm getting a lot with the environment to force you to um, force the system to, like, you're not gonna let the system win. So this card, it's like I have my own tools now. I have my, in a way, I have my own weapons. It doesn't have to be weapons. I have other tools in my belt that keep me alive and keep this dream and this life going, because I have a dream and I am destined to follow it. That's what my soul is telling me. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye.